Привет, друзья! Меня зовут Алексей Капуста, и это наше новое винное ток-шоу. И сегодняшний наш гость – лучший сомелье мира, сомелье номер 1 в мире, сомелье, который выиграл международный конкурс сомелье «РАЙМОНДС ТОМСОНС». По его просьбе беседа будет вестись на английском языке, но вы всегда можете включить субтитры и понимать все, что происходит, если вы не очень хорошо понимаете английский. Мы обсудили множество интересных вопросов, как становится сомелье, как конкурс меняет жизнь сомелье. Присаживайтесь, будет интересно.
РАЙМОНДС ТОМСОНС, 42 года, винный директор в Barents Wine Collectors. Женат, воспитывает 4 детей, живет и работает в городе Рига, Латвия. Увлекается путешествиями. Жизненный девиз: мечтай по-крупному, тяжело работай и всегда учись.
Good morning. Thank you. Everything is just fine. A lazy Saturday morning.
Yeah. My first question is always the same. I would say traditional question is to introduce yourself, please.
Well, my name is Raimonds. Born and raised in Latvia. By profession, Sommelier, wine director of Barents Wine Collectors, and father of 4 kids and a husband.
Thanks. The next question is also a little bit of traditional, is how did you get to the world of wine? Do you remember this period of your life? Please share with us.
Yes, I remember it quite clearly, and obviously it was not my plan during my, let's say, time as a child or secondary school. My original plan was to go and study foreign languages, and after secondary school it did not work out. I did not qualify, and I was kind of ready to go to the army, because if you were not going to study, you were obliged, it was in 1999, you were obliged to go to do your military service. So I was already, going, and then a friend of mine in Riga, he said there is a really nice professional school where you can learn the craft of waiter and bartender. And then I thought, okay, I like to communicate with people. I have good German, good English language. Why not to join this school? And being a young, let's say, graduate from secondary school, so you can work in a restaurant, you can I don't know, go out and party, you can earn quite good money. And then I ended up in the best restaurant in Riga and in Baltics, called Vincent's. It's in Riga, with a very famous chef. And I fell in love with hospitality, being a waiter. I really loved being a waiter. Good cuisine and food. I was able to travel the world together with my chef. I visited some of the best restaurants like Noma and El Bulli and Osteria La Francescana.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yes, and I fell in love with wine.
This all the
at some
legendary
point.
names in the restaurant world.
Yes, yeah. So I was, I think the main problem in these small countries, in any country, if you don't travel, you are looking like only straight. You don't see the perspective. I think specifically in the wine world, it's very important to be open-minded. So yeah, I started to taste. Obviously, I was having not the knowledge. I was very interested. I'm a perfectionist, and I started to educate myself. To read some books. to visit some wine courses provided by Latvian Sommelier Association, and I started to compete in sommelier competitions, which I really loved, because sommelier competitions was a good goal, for myself to train and to study and to become a better sommelier. So that's a brief, let's say, beginning how I got myself into the wine world.
Yeah, in this brief beginning, I would ask you a little bit smaller question, meaning the period of your life when you decided that the wine should be your profession, not just affection, not just love, but the profession. Do you remember this very moment if it happened?
Yes, well, probably it was in something around 2007 or 2008. So I won the best sommelier of the Baltics competition, which is a
Uh-huh.
quite important competition in Baltic countries.
Sure.
And I was offered also to take over the wine department at that restaurant which I mentioned, Vincent's in Riga.
Mhm.
And at that moment, I kind of felt, okay, I'm doing quite good in competitions. I was offered, to, let's say, take over the wine program, which is cool and important. And also, I got, let's say, acceptance from my boss at the same restaurant. I decided that I really want to go to the next step, and I want to study the WSET diploma. And my chef told me that, okay, we will support you financially, but then we
Mhm.
have to find like a guarantee that you will stay with us at least for the next, let's
Mhm.
say, 5 years. And
Mhm.
I'm a loyal person. If I like, the place, the people surrounding me where I'm working, if I see, a potential where I can study and not spend money actually. So I thought, okay, this is very important to me. I can study, I can gain the diploma, I can work on myself, I can travel, and I can continue to compete in sommelier competitions. So for me, all these kind of conditions were important enough to say to myself, okay, this is really what I want to do in long term in my life.
You know what is interesting in your answer that you mentioned a few times the word competition. I would say, judging from your answer, that you are very competitive person. For you, it is important to be one of the best. Am I right?
Yes, yes. As I said, I from the childhood, but I think more or less every boy is when we are small, we like to play, doing sports. Always there is this kind of sense of competition. Who will win
Mm-hmm.
the football game? Who will be the fastest runner? So yes, I'm a very competitive person. I'm a perfectionist, and I think if you competitions gave me a way of let's say putting myself to the next level, to challenge myself, to set a goal, and I always liked to dream big dreams. Let's say I'm a bit of dreamer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I always imagined myself, how it would be to winning a great competition. First it was like, okay, I would love to win the Latvian national competition. Then the next step, okay, maybe I can even win the Baltic competition. And then I remember in
Mm-hmm.
2010 when I took part in my first international world competition in Chile, in Santiago. I saw
Mm-hmm.
Gerard Basset winning the gold medal, and I thought to myself, so this was the next step, of course, taking part for the first time in the world competition. It was like a splash of cold water into my face because And that was really necessary because, I was successful on national level, on Baltic level, but the world level was totally different, league.
Yeah.
And it is very necessary that we were at some point that you are knocked down, or you get this kind of cold water into your face. You understand that your level is not to the next step. And that was for me the best motivation, of course, together with this dream. But then to make this dream a goal and reality, you need to set up a plan and you need to study hard. And it is also, it
Sure.
was always part of my motto in my life. Always thrive
Mm-hmm.
to the best, always study. Even though you achieve a goal, that means, it's important for your ego, but that does not mean nothing. You need to study all the time, especially in the wine world. It's so dynamic, it's changing all the time. You can't sleep on your, let's say, success.
Sure. I would be going to the stage of this world concourse in a few minutes, but now I would like to ask you the question from the beginners of perspective. Many beginners and amateurs want to learn how to identify these aromas of wine, and
Hmm.
they are sometimes afraid not to understand all this aroma. And I was
Yes.
watching just a few minutes ago, preparing to this conversation, your final stage, and you provided with the four wines, and you just tried it, and you in a few minutes understand this is Burgundy, this is Côte de Beaune, this is I don't remember two different wines. How the normal ordinary person could achieve this, not this level, but the level
Hmm.
of basic understanding wine, the level of basic understanding the aroma. What was your suggestion, your advice, how to do it?
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. I remember myself, and I was wondering how there can be a flavor of pineapple or banana
That's a
or even
magic.
lemon in a glass of wine. Yeah. And of course, I would like to say that even though you are a wine enthusiast, I always recommend to read one or the other kind of basic book about, maybe how to taste wine. You need to know a certain
Hmm.
level of theory, not maybe into depth, what is a aromatic compound which can give pepper or lemon or, violet flower. There is chemistry behind that. We kind of understand that, but we are not chemists. So basically, I would like to say it's a training. My suggestion would
Hmm.
be patient, taste as many wines as possible, because black currant on a bush smells maybe slightly more different than in a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon or Carmenere. So my advice would be patient, taste as many wines as possible, go to different tastings, taste together with people who are more experienced. It could be a
Hmm.
winemaker, it could be I don't know, an export manager, it could be a friend of yours who is maybe more professional. And of course, try to go to those basic wine maybe courses, because this is the only way how to train. It's like going to gym. The more consistently you will do that, the more stronger you will become. And with tasting is the same. But of course, some part of theory is very, very important. Another way could be
Hmm.
there is this kind of you can order, I think, in Amazon, these flavors of wines. They're not that expensive. You can order them, and then each small tube has, vanilla or lemon or violet, and then you can try to smell it, and then you can try to compare it with a specific wine or glass of wine. Exactly, you have that. Yeah. So that helped me at some, especially in the beginning. Exactly. Yeah. It helped me in the beginning how to define those aromas. And then the next step, I think every person, and doesn't matter, is it a professional sommelier, master of wine, or just a wine enthusiast, you should develop your own way. What is the purpose of your tasting? We sommeliers taste, to be very fast, efficient, technical on the stage, to identify as fast as possible all those, glasses and flavors. Because we need to be fast on a competition, let's say, atmosphere. But for normal people, let's say, it is maybe more important to understand the style, to understand maybe the quality, to understand if you like the wine, what are you looking in each wine, is it like typicity, is it quality, and so on and so forth. Because the way how to taste wine, it's very, very different, from the aim what you are looking for. So yeah, and also my suggestion is, when you hear, it was how I did, when I hear a professional or maybe a winemaker describing wine, and if I liked some specific term or terminology he's using, or maybe the way how he is describing acidity, tannins, aromatics, taste, I always wrote it down in my notebook. And this was the way how I created my vocabulary, my terms, which I then used in my tasting notes. So you create your own style.
I will conclude two things. The first is your nose is like a muscle that you can train. You say
Yes.
like in gym. And the second,
Yes.
that wine, it's not 100% objective thing. It's also a little bit subjective. Am I right?
Yes, because I always, when I guide tastings, there is always, people try to debate and argue. No, it's cherry. No, it's blackcurrant. No, but I feel strawberry. I mean, dear friends, it's just wine.
Is it normal
And
that is it normal that two professionals have different opinion of the same wine and smell different, let's say, I don't know, fruits or etc.? Is it normal?
yes, I think it's normal, because you are two different personalities. So maybe and these flavors and aromas are also strictly linked to your emotional, to your childhood, to your memories. Maybe as a child you were spending your time with your grandmother, you were helping her to harvest black currant or red currant in the garden. So you have very bright memories of, black currant and all these kind of garden berries. So maybe you are very good in identifying, and it goes very fast to your memory. And maybe the other person is from, I don't know, Sicily, and he has spent his childhood with his, also grandma, but maybe he was involved in stone fruits like peach and apricot, lemons from, from Amalfi Coast. But of course, for competitions, there are guidelines. So if one sommelier says this is citrus fruit based, and the other guy says this is exotic fruit, so one of those sommeliers has a problem, because only in very rare cases maybe you can find a lemon zest and dried pineapple in the same glass. And for that reason, the judges also taste the wine, and there are more than one judges, and they agree, okay, let's agree, for this wine it's more citrus fruit orientated. The acidity in this wine is maybe medium or maximum medium plus. It's not high, it's not low. So they are doing like a frame. So competition is something different. But if you taste wine with your friends, it doesn't matter. If one says this is grapefruit and the other says no, this is orange, they both are citrus fruits in the end. And the debate is not important.
Yeah, thank you. I will go to the concourse and the competition, And the first question is like a continuation about what we already discussed. What was the preparation? How do you prepare yourself for this world competition? And some people say that to be prepared takes long time and quite a bit of money, because to try all these wines, and I will presume that you tried a lot of wines, it costs. Can you describe us this side?
Yes. So the most important thing is to build a plan, because without plan,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have, a specific kind of timeline and a strict, let's say, regime for yourself. Then you are just studying maybe for pleasure. And in my case, I always try to build up a plan at least 1 year before competition. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that because there is a lot of information you are dealing with. It's not only about theory, which is very broad. You're not only studying about wine, you're studying about spirits, cocktails, other
Sure.
alcoholic beverages, and many other things. So you need to build a perfect study plan for your theory in order to cover all the themes and topics which might be asked. Because in the end of the day, theory is a very good base, also where you gain points. Normally, I think it's 40, maybe up to 50% of your scores in the first round of the competition. And then how to study, there are several ways. For myself, I work with a lot of maps on my walls here in my office in order to remember more efficiently. I have a lot of documents in my laptop, kind of conspects with consolidated information in order to go back and to review very fast and efficient. And as I said, I have a plan which I'm doing. For example, like the next week, I will study only Austria. I will study all the regions, the grape varieties, all the DACs, everything. So according to that plan, I create my study plan for 1 year or maybe even more. Then blind tasting, of course, you as I said, the more you taste, the more efficient and fast you become. And as I said, you develop your own vocabulary. Of course, you taste with your friends and colleagues. It's very, very important. Because in competitions, the tastings are in limited time, in English, and it can be written blind tasting, or it can be also like we are talking. The time, of course, is different when you are doing a written tasting and a verbal tasting. And then the third part is also very, very important. It's the practical part. So you need to train how to open and decant wine, how to open champagne, how to serve people in a restaurant. And you need to train this according to ASI guidelines. So International Sommelier Association has created guidelines because they are organizing these competitions since 1969.
Sure.
So it's a quite well-established organization. So you have a specific guidelines how to train and standards. And of course, what you mentioned is very important. You need to invest a certain amount of money. You need to travel. You need to, train with your, let's say, colleagues. And you need to be surrounded by the right people, because you can't do it on your own. It's very complicated. So in my case, I had wonderful friends and other sommeliers who helped me to organize these kind of training sessions, especially the practical training, because theory you can learn on your own. But when it comes to tasting and training, you need your friends and colleagues to set up, different kind of tasks to pour the wines. I had very good bartenders who helped me to train how to create classic cocktails, how to taste blind spirits, and so on and so forth. So yes, just shortly to explain how I train for those competitions.
Yeah, thank you. What was the hardest, most difficult part, the most stressful part on the competition, on this final stage? Because as I watched how you performed, you were very self-conscious, very, you understand very good what are you doing without showing the stress. But I presume the stress was there, or I'm wrong.
So, of course, there is a certain level of adrenaline and stress, but it's very important to control it at the stage where it is not disturbing you, because we know if we are stressed, we can't let our knowledge, theory, practical skills, personality, and charisma to show, right? Because we are stressed. It's the same in
Sure,
sports.
sure,
There might be a good
sure.
ice hockey team, but if they are stressed out, if they're not a team, it doesn't matter, their skill. So yes, you are totally right. And I forgot to mention that apart from your theory, blind tasting, and service skill, very important is to have a very healthy mental and physical health. And to do that, I mean, there are several ways how to do. But before 2019, I was quite self-confident and I was controlling my stress very, very well. But what happened in 2019, if I can give you an example. So after
Sure.
winning Europe in 2017, I went to the next world competition in 2019 as the favorite, one of the favorite, let's say, candidates. And there were a lot of expectations, people were coming along me, oh, Raimonds, the next World Cup will be yours. And of course, they are not like thinking that they are doing something bad. But you can imagine me as a person, as a perfectionist, I'm really starting to think, yes, maybe I am the favorite. How can I fail my family, my friends? Of course, I need to win. I can't lose. And you know what is happening? Stress and pressure is cradling on your shoulders. And this is becoming your biggest enemy. And what happened on the final, I managed to get into the final in 2019. But if you can open a bottle of wine and if you want to watch this video, you will see a totally different person on the stage of the final in Antwerp, in Belgium, and in Paris, because in 2019 I just collapsed. I was stressed and I didn't perform, let's say, up to the level I could, because the training program for Belgium and for Paris for the last world competition was more or less the same. But what was different, for Paris I visited a special therapist who helped me to overcome the stress, the pressure, and to find
Wow.
again my self-confidence. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on the stage in La Défense Arena in Paris in the final with just a little bit adrenaline, but I was very confident, and the stress was not the case. Maybe in the beginning, in the first task, of course, you could feel that I was, a little bit like not that confident. But then I think from that moment it went quite well. And this is very important. So the biggest challenge was to get rid of that stress and to be calm.
Mm-hmm. And from the point of view of the different stages of the
Mm-hmm.
competition, what is normally the most difficult for sommelier? Because for the normal, ordinary people, I would say that the most difficult is to understand, to smell, to understand what is the wine, what kind of wine you are smelling, you are tasting. But many sommelier said to me that it's not. The most difficult is the practical part when you are serving the tables. What is your most difficult part of all the stages?
Yes, I agree with you. And every sommelier maybe will give you a different answer, because some sommeliers
Yeah.
feel more confident in theory, Some sommeliers do not work in a restaurant. I know some very good sommeliers, but they have honestly told me that they are really strong in theory, but they don't work in a restaurant, so they are maybe more free. They don't work these late hours, and they can study theory more efficiently. But they are really afraid of these practical tasks, because this is not what they do on everyday basis. For me, it was a bit opposite, because I worked in a restaurant, so I did a lot of service, and maybe I was lacking the kind of broadness of theory. But I did quite well in theory as well, to be honest. And I would say the biggest scare is you don't know what to expect. And the biggest challenge for me is to understand the practical tasks, let's say, idea. What is the how to say, the clue? What is the main aspect they are expecting from you to do? And also, usually in the final, if you get to the final, you already have been checked on theory, on blind tasting, in the quarterfinal, and also in the semi-final. So the final is more about psychology, stress, and how to manage really these practical elements in a restaurant. So, and imagine if the restaurant is full, you are also a little bit maybe a little bit stressed, it's a little bit of tension, dynamics. You need to serve the tables. One table is saying, hey, can we order, hey, I ordered my champagne, I want it. So, and in the final, you can see it's a little bit the same. You need to decant a magnum for 8 people. Then another table is walking on the stage in the middle of decantation. So you need to excuse one table. You need to go and welcome the other guests. And if you don't, because the task of the task is hidden in the text, what you are giving. And if you don't listen to the text, if you don't understand, and if you don't see the whole picture, you need to see how the table is set, where is your mise en place, how many glasses, is the wine cold, or is it maybe vertical, is it lying down, is there a basket, is there a trolley, do the guests have water or maybe aperitif, so you need to be very kind of with a broad spectrum. You need to see the whole picture in order, and of course you need to do that. Yes, multitasking. And you need to be able, in those very kind of quite stressful situation with 4,000 people in the audience, watching every word, every breath, and every move you make, because there is a silence, there's a silence. So you need to consider all these kind of very important aspects, and you need to smile. And if you can crack this, if you can make maybe a joke, then you will conquer the favorite, let's say the how to say, the positive aspect of the audience and the judges, and you can be more free and less stressful. So this is you don't know what to expect. And this is kind of, I don't know what to expect. Will it be that or will it be that? So this is quite complicated.
Understand. The very important question from me, from our audience, our big friend, Dmitry Lukyanov, is asking, how did this result, this status that you are the number one in the world, at least in the world of sommelier, change your life or influence your life?
Well, obviously, for professional sommelier who is competing, with no doubt, this is the most prestige and highest result you can gain in your professional career. So that, in simple words, that gives you a lot of possibilities, and a lot of doors are being opened. So you get a lot of invitations to do several things, to become a brand ambassador, to become a head sommelier maybe of a restaurant, to guide tastings in different countries, to inspire maybe and train other sommeliers. So there are just a lot of possibilities to travel, to inspire, to taste, to train, and of course also a lot of financial possibilities. So you need to be very open-minded, to be very correct, and to choose maybe what is the best for you, for your family, and maybe to keep a nice balance between work and also pleasure. Because at some point I felt that maybe I have a bit too much things to do. But of course, it's quite hard to say no, and also I think this title is it gives you a lot of not only kind of prestige, but it's very important. It's a big responsibility because you need to be. People are watching you, especially the young sommeliers, right? They consider
Sure.
yourself as an idol, and it was for me the same. I was looking at Gerard Basset, at Andreas Larsson, at Arvid Rosengren, and many other great sommeliers. So you need to be a good example. In simple words, you need to, besides your title, and gold medal, you need to stay humble. You need to be, let's say, open-minded, friendly, and you need to be a very good example. You need to be a great example of a great sommelier. You can't
Do you
you
feel
can't be
you as a
snob.
star of? Do you feel that you are the star of the small country which is not associated with wines? To be honest, Latvia.
I think so. Yes, I think so. And I think that's very important also for Latvia and for Baltic countries, because that
Sure.
proves that first of all, I think for all maybe smaller countries, or maybe not even small, for countries without maybe wine history and wine production, it can be a good example and motivation. Doesn't matter from what
Sure.
kind of country you are coming from, small, large, with wine,
Mm-hmm.
without wine, with great and hard work, and the right people surrounding you, and setting a serious goal, you can reach that goal. So that is very important globally, and more specifically for Latvia and Baltic countries. So I hope that this legacy of mine I can carry in the future, and there will be another sommelier from Latvia or maybe from Baltic countries who can win maybe a European and world competition. And I think also for the Latvia as a country, Latvia will be more recognized. Maybe more tourists will come and visit our restaurant, our wine shop. I hope it will be also economically, and from the tourism perspective, I can give something back to my country. It's very, very important for me, for the whole hospitality industry of Latvia. It is very
Mm-hmm.
important. So, and
Yeah, yeah. I understand you. To give some kind of perspective to the young sommelier, the question is, if it is the highest peak, the highest point of the career of the sommelier, the best sommelier of the world, what can be or should be the next step from this peak? Are there some other peaks that you are watching, that you are going to achieve in your career? How do you see all these pictures, and what are your goals?
there are several. For myself, there are several goals. So
Mm-hmm.
the competition career has ended for me as a sommelier, but another goal. I was speaking this morning with my family and wife, and I will be part of the International Sommelier Association. I will be part of some of the committee, and I need to make the right decision. Do I want to be part of, to create these competitions and to be a judge, which is great, right? Or maybe I want to be and stay on the other side I want to inspire to train other sommeliers. I can't do both, unfortunately, and logically, I can't do both. Because if I will judge, I can't train. It's just not right.
Okay.
If I will train, I cannot judge. It's very simple and logical, right? So for me, it's a very
Absolutely.
important and difficult decision. And whatever the decision will be, it will be my next goal, to leave something, my fingerprint in the sommelier world as a good maybe trainer, motivator, or maybe a person who will, create and carry on this very important legacy of organizing these competitions, to be part of the technical or maybe sommelier competition committee. This is one.
Okay.
The second will be, it's my motto, always continue to study. And the ways how to do that, I always say, I have gathered a certain level of knowledge that you can build up your next plan. You can travel, visit wineries, and I always say, by visiting wine regions and meeting with the winemaker, it is one of the best way how to study. There are different certification systems. So I will definitely continue to study and to grow as a sommelier, because there are so many things I don't know yet, and you can't learn everything during your whole life. It's impossible. So that's another thing. And professionally, of course, I'm obliged to develop the wine culture in Latvia. So we have a wonderful project called Barents Wine Collectors, where I am the wine director. So we are building a quite serious portfolio of wines in our small market. We have just opened a pop-up shop, and we are creating our timeless wine shop with a wine bar and bistro, with a tasting room. We have a fine dining restaurant already. So there's still a lot of things to do in that direction as well. And I'm a father of 4 children and a family guy. So I need to keep that in balance, and I need to be part and trying to be a good father as well. And this is one of the biggest challenges in my life, actually.
Yeah, that's an interesting part. I would ask also about this part, if you permit me. Sometimes children ask the father, Papa, what are you doing in your life? Do you have this kind of questions from your children, and how do you explain, especially to those who are younger, who are smaller, how do you explain what are you doing in this life?
Yeah, I mean, my children are, one is just 2 months, the second youngest is 4 years. So these two, I mean, one can't speak, the 4-year-old. Yes, of course, our children are well educated children in restaurants. In restaurants, we don't have any phones or planchettes, tablets. We are just speaking like a family. And it is totally normal for us, and they love to go to restaurants and to eat, and they try to smell the wine. Of course they see, but I don't push nothing. I'm not that kind of father which wants to influence, I want my son or my daughter to become a sommelier. No, I think my duty as a father is to give options to my children, possibilities. If he wants to try to do this or that, I say, okay, let's try it. And then they should find themselves their own path. But the eldest children, one is 9, the other one is 15. So with the 15, we sometimes drink a small glass, and she's quite interested. And I always joke, 15 is the age already. I remember myself, when you have friends, and friends are more important than your parents, and you want to go out to party. And I said to my daughter, I mean, if you get to that decision, you need to buy alcohol. I hope you know whom to call and to ask what, what to look for. I mean, if you drink something, don't drink just cheap crap, drink decent things. But okay, this is more like
Absolutely.
a joke. this is more like a joke.
Yeah,
And
but
you can't control everything. You remember yourself or myself. If you want to drink
sure.
alcohol, you will find a way. And sometimes, you need to just give way and to understand them themselves. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, they're kind of interested in food. I'm cooking at home more than my wife. I like to do that. And
Hmm.
wine is always surrounding our family, so the kids are seeing I'm sniffing the wine, I'm tasting the wine, but it's in a very casual way, without any pressure.
Understand. Thank you, Raymond. We are about 44 minutes on air now, and I must just using the word must to question a little bit to pass you some questions from my motherland, from my Ukrainian friends, and be sure that is a little bit of challenge. Have you ever tried Ukrainian wines? And if you remember, what brands were they, and what was your impressions?
Yes, yes, I've tried. I tried not too many, but I tried Massandra several times. The fortified wines, and
Hmm.
I really was quite impressed by those, and of course with this great history. Just recently, I tried Telti Kuruk. I think. Sorry if I spelled it right. And there was
Yeah, yeah.
another one grape from a producer. What was the name? His label was with the Ukrainian flag, and it was quite delicious. And actually, there is one winery writing right now to me, maybe to taste some of their wines and maybe give feedback and so on. But I know that the parallel where most of the Ukrainian wines are grown are very similar to that of Piedmont and I think the Rhone Valley and
Hmm.
even Bordeaux. So the climatic conditions are, very suitable for growing high quality grapes. But my experience with Ukrainian wines is at this stage quite limited, to be honest. Yeah. But I'm very, very keen
Hmm.
to try some more in the future.
Okay, and the next question will be even a little bit more complicated. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. But my friends from Ukraine are curious if you have any desire to visit the country, I mean Ukraine, after victory in the war, maybe to some kind of competition.
Definitely. I mean, I have quite a few friends in Ukraine, and in our restaurant there is a real nice guy actually who is working with us as a waiter. And on Monday he will take part for the first time in a Latvian sommelier competition.
Hmm.
And I'm also have been in contact with several people from Ukrainian wine industry, and also, they invited me to come and visit, and I would love to go to visit Ukraine, and I've heard from my friends, several friends who have visited Ukraine before the war, and they really liked Kiev as a city, and the wine scene has been very interesting. I have good bartenders who were really excited to go to Ukraine, and have a lot of good friends in the bartender community as well. So obviously, now even more, I think, with this all terrible situation, I think it will be not only, a wish, but I'm obliged to go and visit and, to help. And hopefully I
Especially
will be
after
able.
this interview.
Yes, yes. And of course, as I said, I think it's very important to also to help all the young sommeliers, and that includes the young sommeliers maybe from Ukraine as well. So of course, why not?
Absolutely.
Why not? Absolutely, yeah.
Друзья, вот такая у нас получилась беседа. Это первое интервью на английском языке, которое мы делали на этом канале. Ну, я очень надеюсь, что это не был первый блин комом, и я надеюсь, что вам было интересно это все услышать. Ну и, конечно же, как обычно, я вас прошу поддержать этот канал лайком, комментарием и обязательно распространить это видео среди тех ваших друзей и коллег, кому оно будет интересно и, как я люблю говорить это слово, релевантно. И до новых встреч!